Right, guys, welcome back. Last scientific research quadrant of Endless Space 2 is the Empire Development Science Quadrant, and food approval and influence for the most part, also diplomacy oriented tech tree. Let's get right into it. So hitting stage 1 will grant us the drone networks, the cerebral reality, and the flexible bureaucracy. Now, drone networks and the cerebral reality are your go-to system improvements as soon as you start building, just at turn 1. As I mentioned in the economy and trade science quadrant, for me, a really viable strategy that I would suggest for everybody is to build first and foremost the Xena industrial infrastructure, but to follow that by building the drone networks and the cerebral reality would be an excellent choice, because you get with these two system improvements the base upon which you can really set off a system in terms of industry, food, dust, and science. Drone networks gives you a +10 food and a +10 industry on the system, and cerebral reality goes on by giving +15 science and +15 dust on system. So the really first building blocks of your system, of your star systems. Plus, you get the flexible bureaucracy, allows you to sign peace treaties, exchange more resources, and sign trade agreements. So, peace treaties, as I mentioned, maybe briefly, or maybe I did not, but let's just have this quick overview. In Endless Space 2, there is a particular mechanic for which empires start as a diplomacy condition between each other on what is called Cold War. And in Cold War, all factions are entitled to engage in fleet battles between each other, but not to invade star systems, unless they have a particular religious law. I think it's called righteous wrath, something like that, that allows you to siege systems of a faction with who you are not at war. But Cold War basically means that you can engage in system warfare, in fleet warfare, but not in actually sieging systems. So a peace treaty would mean that you would sign a peace treaty and go to peace with that faction, and that would change your diplomacy status from Cold War. So no more fleet warfare, obviously, is permitted. And apart from that, you can exchange more resources and sign trade agreements. Trade agreements are also accessed on the diplomacy tab, and what it does is written right here. If signed, a trade agreement will trace routes between all your headquarters, that is the trade company headquarters, and the other players' subsidiaries, and vice versa. Trade routes cannot cross enemy systems and can be interrupted by war, blockades, and other such events, such as just an enemy fleet blocking a certain system on which a trade route is established between you and your trading partner. So yeah, that is the trade agreement, and it grants, of course, an additional dust income per turn. Moving back to the tree, the first two technologies are the planetary landscaping, which grants us an intensive cultivation unique improvement. So building this on your system will grant a +25 food per system level and a +3 food on original empire population. And another fundamental building in starting on in order to really get a star system to move up in terms of population. Sustainable farms, it's your classic food improvement, +5 food per cold, per hot, and per planet. So boosting food production on the system. On the other hand, off-world agribusiness. Now, what this does, it enables diplomacy with minor civilization and the Pirate League. If you were to encounter a minor civilization before this technology was unlocked, you may access the first contact option, but you will be not allowed to praise or to declare war or to engage in one of the other miscellaneous actions such as selective immigration or other actions toward the minor faction. So as soon as you hit Xeno synergy, you are able actually to engage with the minor civilization, praising it in order to make it your ally and making them give you resources, which leads to assisting the minor civilization for a little bit of dust. You get the chance to complete a quest that they give you in order to assimilate them. And to assimilate the minor factions means that that system on which the minor civilization is sitting on becomes yours by all means. And we have an approval system improvement, infinite supermarkets, +10 approval on system. So yeah, you're just starting off, you built your Xeno industrial district, and you moved on by building your first of all, still about industry, it is suggested but not mandatory to build your drone networks and then your server reality, and then you get to the approval part. So just completing a first round, let's say, of system improvements on your system. Hitting stage 2 of the Empire Development tech tree will grant a mining probe start. So launches a mining probe on a planet to exploit all the resources, which you have the technology. The mining probe is independent of the behemoth, and it is a behemoth module. We get another behemoth module, which grants a +10 food, industry, science, and dust on a system, if that behemoth is orbiting that system. And a stellar analytics support module for behemoths, a -1% in technology cost when orbiting special nodes. So yeah, in terms of technologies, let's start by the big one, the most important one. Efficient shielding for the Empire. It might be that never actually noticed it, but for other factions it might be called in another way. Nonetheless, this technology is for all factions, is always positioned in this part of the quadrant, and it grants the first 2 ship hulls. Ship hulls are, of course, effectively the ships that you can play, that you can use in the game. And as soon as you hit this technology, you will be granted a small attacker ship and a small protector ship. And the symbols, of course, are everything in this game. They are 1 command point each, and the protectors have a majority of support modules, while the attackers have a majority of weapon modules that we covered in our military tech tree quadrant guide. And you also unlock this particular effect for behemoths, a plus 14,000 health on unspecialized behemoths, that is industrial behemoth, scientific, and military. And you set the module multiplier to 2 times on behemoths. What is a module multiplier? We can actually check it out maybe with the Dreadnought by editing it. Ship module multipliers are reported right here. So you see size, large modules do times 4 the effect. So if we take the extreme AGN slugs, it has a base damage per second of 107. Given that I am putting it on a carrier, the damage would be 855 because of the times 4 multiplier of the module. Let's say I wanted to look at the let's say cruiser ship hull. This one has a module multiplier of 2. So if we look at, again, the base damage is 107, which I don't think that 107 times 2 does for 128, but there must be some other magic behind it. But basically, yeah, let's say if we were to have another example. So in weapon modules, we have our damage per second of 76. Loading it here will make it... Guys, I think I have this slot accept a heavy version of the module. Yeah, so that's where the magic actually was. So plus 2 DPS times 2 DPS and cost. Am I saying this right? Why is it 306 if it's 76, which should be something of around let's say 150 or so, and it's actually double that? Yeah, I would say that maybe I'm taking into account. Yeah, cancel that. This is a heavy mount. Heavy mounts are distinguished from the other module slots because they are bigger in size. So they basically are times 4, even though the module is times 2. So a 107 damage per second gets a 214, which is exactly double damage per second output. So that was the explanation for the module multiplier. Another very important technology, the botanical scanning, which grants us the epigenetic crop seeding, which gives us a +2 food per population on planets on our system. And intense cultivation, another key system improvement in terms of food, +10 food per luxury deposit and +10% food. We have a deed, endless research park, and endless world. Kind of a cool wonder to build. It's a +20% science and dust on devoted empire. I'm sorry, on the system on which it is built, and if loyal, it's +15% of dust and science. Very cool building. Also, very strong lore themed building. Behemoth. We actually unlock with the Behemoth blueprints the ability to build our Behemoth hulls and fill them up with all the modules that are typical of Behemoth. So this is the technology that actually unlocks the Behemoth. I think that in the game options there's a way to lock the possibility of gaining the Behemoth technology until a certain quest is completed, I think, because Behemoths I think were introduced with the Hisho update. The Hisho also have a faction affinity in regards to Behemoths. Yeah, so I don't actually particularly enjoy that kind of quest. I consider Behemoths pretty useless until you can actually convert them to juggernauts or obliterators to have fun. But I mainly use for for juggernauts. But that is just my playstyle. I mean, you can build an entire playthrough around behemoths. So that is not to say that they are, by all means, that they are useless or anything. But and you can see behemoths have 10 command points. I think they are actually, yeah, the ship in the game with the most command points. So yeah, behemoth blueprints. Another important technology, xenology, that grants us the Academy Embassy. It's a unique improvement, a minus 20% points required to unlock next hero on Empire, and enables the unlock of new heroes. So, what is the Academy? Well, the Academy is a kind of cool and interesting and really lore-filled building that exists in the Endless Space universe. It is something that I think also existed in the first Endless Space. And let me see if I can actually find it. Okay, so it's located in this particular game on the Wardan system. The Academy is a building that orbits around a destroyed planet, which is called Harrow. It always is like this. And if we look, I can't actually zoom in, but maybe you can actually get a glimpse of it moving right here. It's this bright construction that you see. And yeah, it's basically where all heroes, which are these dust-enhanced individuals of the galaxy, get to get their training and study and have to deal with dust and just it's the main place in which heroes stay. And when you actually unlock heroes, they come from the Academy. Here is the hero management. So all of these heroes are in some way or another connected in the lore to the Academy. All of them have their particular stories, and yeah, it's just super cool. The building here that we were seeing, the Academy Embassy, as the name suggests, is a way to unlock fast in a faster manner new heroes. Then we have a influence oriented planetary specialization, which grants us +1 influence per population on the planet. Final stage 2, Empire Development Technology, Adaptive Bureaucracies. This is quite of an important and pretty useful, unique improvement. +10 approval, +5 influence, and +2 FIDSI per population on planets. So that is actually the main bonus. Can only be built once per empire. 5 titanium and 5 hyperium. A lot of industry. Might take some turns to build it, but totally worth it. Hugely improves system output. And with this technology, we can colonize barren planets. So as you can see, and as I told you in the science and exploration tech quadrant, the 80%, 90% of colonization technologies are located in this quadrant. But as we saw with the economy and trade, some planets can be unlocked on the economy and trade, which are the lava, the gas giant, and the ash planets, and some can be unlocked on the empire development. So in this case, we are unlocking the barren planets. Huge science outputting planets, but yeah, it's a barren wasteland. No food, very few dust, very few industry, but a lot of science output on these planets. Moving on to stage 3, we get improved commercial drives. It's a +1 movement points on civilian ships. Civilian ships distinguish themselves from military ships because you do not actually have control on them. And you can see them on the galaxy map as little ships that bring food from a system to an outpost, or little ships that bring population from a system to another in case you were to discover a population via exploring a curiosity, or you were transporting people from a spaceport to another. You could actually see those ships, civilian ships. Let's see if we can find some. Here we have one. This in particular is a Riftborn civilian ship, and if we hover over with our mouse, we can see one neutral fleet. Owner is the Riftborn, and you can see role logistics. Matter of fact, it's small and it has a cargo of one minor faction population, which I can't remember on the top of my head what that particular population is. And yeah, they're basically waiting to get in the system Volans, which apparently is full. Let's see if we can find some others. Maybe I have some. Let's see. Or maybe I don't know, but just wanted to show you. Yeah, I do. Here on Dorado, there is one pilgrim population that is waiting to enter. So let's see what happens if I move a Harushem population in my spaceport. Still not entering, huh? Yeah, I guess they would come in next turn, but yeah, that's basically how it works because it had no space available to get in. So yeah, that's it. These are civilian ships. Where was I? Yeah, here. And the other stage 3 unlock is developing empire laws. So let's talk a bit about Senate. It's this panel right here. This is your politics main panel. You get to see your current government type with the effects. During display, I changed from a initial federation on which the empire is played on to democracy. Democracy has an important approval buff of +1 approval per population on systems. You get a half the amount of influence required to pass a new law. To have an overview of the different governments that exist in Endless Space 2, here we can see that we have democracy, dictatorship, federation, and republic, listing all their particular effects. We have the option to change our current government, but we must fulfill certain requirements, which can be read here. Required approval rating of 50 and a cost of 9,300 influence. If I were to change my government to republic, let's say, I would have to have a 50 approval on empire and 6,200 influence. I would click on validate. I would have an anarchy period that would prevent me to pass any law for 5 turns, and then a republic would be put in place. Republics are actually, I have never played with the republic, I think, or maybe the I think that the Riftborn have a republic, not quite sure, but have a very cool effect of intensifying laws. So I can't imagine what that would mean on some laws, but yeah, that is what governments are. You can see that we have elections in 2 turns. Elections will set your leading political parties depending on the composition of the population of your empire. So let's take a system as an example. Here we have lots of different populations in it. We have Volters, we have Sisters of Mercy, we have Imperials, we have Pulsuses, Calgeros, and 6 others. And all of them have particular political sensitivity. So we have some industrialists, some scientists, some pacifists, some ecologists, some religious, and some militarists. Show in detail how the star system population reacts politically to events. Sure, why not? So that's the breakdown, the political breakdown of your system. And let's see, industrialists, ongoing events. We have the Mazari population that show all events actually. So for the fact that there is Mazari population, imperials will put out support for the industrial political party, and also pulsars will do it. Scientific hero recruited, unique science improvement created. So certain events boost certain particular political ideologies. Let's say industrial events. For example, an industrialist hero is recruited, will go on for another 17 turns, and voters will put on, even though they are scientists as a political opinion, will actually boost industrialists. And if I get back here and I get to the voters, you can actually see right here when an event increases industrialist support, the voters population will also increase that support an equal amount. So that is the explanation. Let's get back to the system. So you have a system breakdown in terms of political thinking, and you see the system representatives. So we have 5 scientific representatives, 4 militarists, 9 industrialists, 3 pacifists, and 2 religious. And all your star system populations will be added to the various counters, will be added among themselves in this graph that shows you the entire breakdown of all representatives. So we have a total of 625 representatives on our Senate. Leading political parties are heroes that, given their, let's say, if I wanted to check out this particular hero, let's see if I can find her. Here she is. She is a vaulter, and she happens to be on the Senate. And being on the Senate grants, where was I? Particular perks of hers to be even more buffed. So for being on Senate and having the clerical corrections perk, we have a plus 0.5 deposit value on resource deposits on the system. Given that we have unlocked for her the conscription genius, being on a Senate will grant us a plus 25% manpower capacity on Empire. So you get the point. If a particular hero happens to be on the Senate, some of her particular perks will be further raised in terms of output. And being a vaulter, she is a scientist. In this case, we have primitives, a primitive hero that would actually boost militarist, and an empire, an imperial hero, which grants industrialist support. So he will sit in the industrialist political party and grant us also some other sweet bonuses. Laws are represented right here. Democracy grants us the ability to pass all 6 law slots, and laws are not actually mandatory in order to win a game, but there are some particular laws, let's say laws in general, are a very cool way to enhance the game experience, to have further mechanics that may help you to reach your objectives. There are some particular laws that are neutral in terms of political affiliation, but given the most favored political parties in your empire, you have the ability to unlock the related laws. So if I were to have, I have three main political parties, so I get laws from the industrialists, from the scientists, and from the militarists. And some laws are particularly strong. So let's say the Work Not Shrink Act will grant us a +6 industry per population on planets. Now, I can't imagine what that would mean on a republic, since the law effect would be also further intensified if that wasn't enough. But as you can see, it's actually the last tier of law for the Industrialist Party. It has a huge influence upkeep, which we can't actually see here, but if I were to abolish all law, let's say, I could abolish all laws. So just this one single law has a law upkeep of 2,291. I think even because your leading political party will put a mandatory related law active. I can't remember if that particular law also comes at an influence price or not, but yeah, it's quite an important influence upkeep to maintain this particular law. So laws basically are further instruments that you can use. Let's take for example the Mineral Misers Act, which grants us a +1 resource generation on strategic resource deposits and a +10% industry per strategic deposit on systems. Let's take the Assordem decree, +20 approval per owned home system on systems. So if you get if you're on a military rampage, of course you would like to have laws that can benefit from it. You get the point. And these laws are related to political parties, but the white one, the ones with this particular symbol, are not related to any political parties and are I think the first 3 or 4 are automatically present as soon as you start the game, and then you unlock more laws going through the Empire Development Quadrant. And different laws for different purposes. +3 dust, but a -20 approval on systems. +3 science per population, but a -2 approval per population. Depending on where you're going, depending on your current framing of the game, you can further spice up things by enacting certain laws. And to have a breakdown of your entire population, you may go on the population details, and you can see here you have a recap of all populations and that are present in your empire. And this is also the page in which you can boost a particular population. So let's take the nearest right here. The nearest produce as effects on planets, a base of +3 food on fertile and +2 food as a base. Let's say that I happen to have the 51 Eden incense required to boost them. Click on it, it doubles. It goes to +6 food on fertile, +4 food as a base. Populations are always boosted by luxury resources, and they are not set for a particular population. Each game that you play for each population will have a different luxury resource. So that wanted to be a little quick breakdown of where was I? Where was I? Oh my god, I got lost. Dark University, this we did. I can't remember. Why did I start talking about the Senate? Oh, right, because I was looking at the laws. Okay, so technology on stage 3. We get agri-drugs, which unlocks Patriot Pills plant, which grants us as a system improvement a plus 20% food to manpower dedicated to fill up our manpower on the system, and an enhanced Yernef class hull, so plus 50% fleet manpower capacity, additional Hyperion module slots for this particular class hull, and we have the extreme composites, which allows us to build the exotic rations system improvement, plus 200 system manpower capacity on the system, and a plus 10% food to manpower, and an enhanced Agassiz class hull, which, by the way, were the unlocks that we got in the previous technology. As you see, they are linked. Then we have split second ablatives and applied cryogenics. These two technologies are also key technologies because they unlock the two medium ship hulls, which are a coordinator. In the Empire case, it's called Sheridan, and the Sopron, which is actually the Hunter ship hull. So hugely improving in terms of module slots and module multipliers. For me, I tend to use these two ship hulls for the almost entirety of my playthroughs. Strong ships that you may continue to upgrade during time with new modules. Absolutely fundamental to technologies. The split second ablatives also grants us an adamantium jammer, which lowers the chances to be targeted by enemy ships during battle and a ship evasion of 5%, and improved behemoths, plus 7,000 health on military, scientific, and industrial behemoths, and sets the module multiplier on behemoths to 4 times. And on the other hand, in the applied cryogenics, we get an antimatter lancer, which repairs our ships after each battle phase by 5% and increases the chances to be targeted by 10. Another behemoth-related unlock, furthering by 7,000 the health of our unspecialized behemoths, and setting the module multiplier to 4 times. We have xenoanthropology, another fundamental key technology. It unlocks the National Museum to boost up our system influence by 2 per population on planets where the system is ecstatic, and plus 1 influence per population on planets where the system is happy. We get the ability to change government type, the one that I was describing before in the Senate screen, change government. And finally, we get the Patriotic Press. This is an over-colonization focused unlock. Basically what this does, it raises by 2 the cap of systems that you can occupy before triggering expansion disapproval. So expansion disapproval is basically in your system view. You may see in this case we do not have you can see overpopulation, but it's the overpopulation in the system. When population live under this red zone of the planet, that means that the planet is overpopulated, but it does not refer to the overpopulation in terms of your empire. But you would actually be able to see it right here. You would get a debuff, you would get a minus something for overexpansion or something like that. Actually, it calls it Yeah, expansion disapproval. Yeah, fundamental technology, especially for the National Museum. A behemoth technology, citadel blueprints. Yeah, we can now convert our basic behemoths in citadels. Citadels very quickly are, let's see if I can find my behemoths. If I were to convert using this button a behemoth into a citadel, would make disappear the behemoth, so I won't get a juggernaut, I won't get an obliterator, I won't get a ship. I would instead grant the system on which the behemoth was converted into I would gain a citadel on that system, and this means that I would build unique improvements for that system, and I would have a native defense from obliterator shots, so an obliterator shot would not damage my system, a natural guard, so ships passing through that system, enemy ships would be forced to stop there, as well as providing an additional garrison of unsiegeable manpower. So you would never be able to get a citadel guarded system to 0% of defense, because the citadel will always grant an additional part of manpower. And economic bonuses, which can further be increased by further improvements. So that is the citadel. Did I actually build citadels in my empire? I think not. Maybe I conquered some, but yeah, didn't build any. Going back here, we also get to build the... oh no, not yet actually. We get to build, although the Behemoth C3 center, this raises the Behemoth production limit. We can have more Behemoths, but at a cost, and that is times 1.5 dust per behemoths in terms of upkeep. So that is something to keep in mind. But you can build all the behemoth C3 centers as you wish. Interspecies HR gets us the unique improvement of culture center and colonial rights. Now, first of all, the colonial rights are a approval system improvement. It's a +5 approval per system level for 5 Hyperion, while the culture center is a unique improvement, and it's a super powerful influence focused building because it grants us a +40 influence per system level and a +15% influence. You want to build this on systems that you know will be on the borders of some other faction, to prevent that other faction to invade with its influence your system. So why is that? Because we will see that once we hit a certain technology on this quadrant, factions will be allowed to pacifically convert enemy systems into their faction by spending influence. And in order to do that, they must have their influence zone on your system. Now, as you can see here, Sophons are way inside my Bundus system, but they may not convert it because we are at war. Only factions that are at Cold War, or I think peace, but I'm not sure, but certainly Cold War with each other, can convert in Pacific terms the system using influence. I do not know if I can find any example. Yes, I can. This is the symbol, but we'll see it in a moment. And finally, for stage 3, we have the hyperpacks. So we are able now to create and join alliances, exchange all resources and technologies with other factions, and sign science agreements. We are able to colonize toxic planets, and we get improved actions to influence election results. Yeah, so let's say, for example, a federation government during election can provide for a certain amount of influence, what is called the reinforced imperial support, which will grant a boost to the selected party. So yeah, that's it. And in regards to alliances, you can create or join an alliance. So in the diplomacy screen, if I were to ask the Riftborn to be my allies, I would simply, where is it? Yeah, request alliance. It would become an exchangeable treaty between me and them. Let's just see, out of curiosity, what would they say? Taking their time, they would be super happy to do it. So yeah, we get the possibility, and we also get the possibility to do science agreements, which are, as the term would suggest, a boost. I can't actually find it right here, I think. Why can't I find the science agreement? Is it me that I'm not seeing it? Wow, oh my god. What happens if I were to ask Horatio? Yeah, here we have it. Science agreement. What does a science agreement do? It gives a boost to both factions in terms of science output. So both you and the other player gain an incremental boost to your research. The longer the science agreement lasts, the better the boost. It's a way to improve your your science per turn. Getting back, we finished our tier 3 empire development stage. We hit stage 4. We get a +1 movement points on our civilian ships. We get a deed, promoter of diversity, be the first to pass a law from each of the 6 political parties from the beginning of the game. So yeah, that would kind of be, there would have been a lot of things happening in order to be able to do that. You would get as a reward, nobody actually unlocked it, so for the first time in the series I can actually tell you what a reward looks like for a deed. You would actually get a hero, so pretty cool. Let's see the technologies. Liquid composites. It unlocks the carrier hull. For all factions, the carrier hull is unlocked via this technology located on the edge of the military quadrant, and yeah, 6 command points to build carriers. We also get a behemoth maximization plus 14,000 health on normal behemoths, and the module multiplier is now 8 times. Emperor's Shadow. This is a super empire specific technology. We are able to build the Zelebus Incarnate, but given the fact that it's super empire specific, I won't even cover it. But there you have the art and the effects if you want to pause the game. Moving on, we have our n-dimensional industry. Modules, antimatter lock-on, damage per targeted command point of 4%. Can only be installed on coordinator ships. It's an antimatter module. Strike multiplier, damage per second plus 25%, critical attack probability of 5%, and an OCXRR unit. Influence per destroyed command point 20. So destroying ships would make us earn influence. Then we have the enhancements for our coordinator and our hunter, because dependency algorithms gives us an enhanced coordinator upgrade, so additional modules and a plus 50% manpower on fleet. Same thing here, unlocks additional adamantium module slots and a plus 50% manpower fleet. So at this stage, your ships become pretty huge. The deed, we have seen it. We get SLC, super light content. Let's check the time, 10 minutes. We are perfectly fine. Which grants us planetary specialization upgrade, plus 2 influence per population, and the culture of flexibility, which allows absorption of the system within our empire's influence area over time, or by using influence to buy them. You can actually use it if you are at Cold War and also at peace, so as I was saying before. And in this case, you can see we each turn we would get a 16% progress toward absorbing the system, but if I were to click on this peace sign, I would be able to buy out with influence the Zugend system, and it would be effectively mine. Let's just do it for the fun of it. You can see now I'm playing with the Awakening DLC. So in the Awakening DLC, they introduced the Academy as a faction that can actually conquer systems. This system is currently under the Academy control. I don't care. I want it. Let's buy it. Let's see what happens. You get this pop-up, and I would imagine that Isiander is pretty upset, but I don't care because I'm doing my guide, so get back at your place, man. Going back to our technologies, yeah, cultural flexibility, Behemoth Citadel basic upgrade. So once that we have actually unlocked the Citadel blueprint, we converted a Behemoth into a Citadel on one of our systems. We are now able to construct a system shield. Now, an important thing, system shields can be built on any system independent from citadels on the system. So you will see that the AI, especially at higher difficulties, will spam these system shields during the mid-game to late game. 50 titanium and 50 hyperium, so even though you have pretty important numbers of these resources, they're quite expensive, but these prevent the destruction of your systems if targeted by an obliterator. So they do not provide as much defense as a citadel, but nonetheless they have the amount of population killed and the amount of system improvements destroyed. An absolute key system improvement, especially at harder difficulties in which the AI can actually go crazy with obliterator shots. And you get the system battery. So this must be built in a system with a citadel, and it's a system improvement plus 100 manpower on citadel, and allows the citadel to fire 1 round of blast effect battery, 2000 damage on every enemy ship per phase in space battles. It cannot be targeted, so yeah, it's a powerful tool, and indeed a powerful tool if you happen to have a battle on a system on which you have a citadel. Culture and vertex, I mentioned this technology in my economy and trade quadrant because I was talking about the fact that this related particular unlock, which is autonomous administration, is a system improvement that can be only built on level 4 colonies, so the most upgraded colony possible, and this is one of the game changers because this particular system improvement, which costs 1000 influence, by the way, so that's something to keep in mind, lets you raise the cap of systems that you are able to colonize before triggering the expansion disapproval. So this is actually what fuels your conquest, even your conquest victory, actually. I mean, it's the way to expand in a safe and problem-free way your empire. So absolutely autonomous administration, an absolute go-to, and in order to further your colonies, you must get through the economy and trade quadrant by getting to the system 2, then 3, and then 4 colony. Also attached to this particular technology, we have the well-being foundation. So it's a 25 adamantium in order to get a plus 25 approval on systems. Kind of useful if you're overpopulated. Once things start to settle, you won't actually be in the position of building it, but it really always depends. And +2 systems occupied before triggering expansion disapproval on Empire. So as soon as you hit this technology, the cap of systems will be raised by 2. And here we have perfect negotiations, which gives us the Body Language Institute, super cool building, 25 adamantium, to have a +5% influence on the system. And we get the cooperation protocol. Both you and the other empire will gain an incremental boost depending on each other's main population. The longer the cooperative protocol lasts, the better the boost. Yeah, so it's another treaty that you can stipulate in the diplomacy ban. Finally, the 5th stage of the empire development, we have an upgrade to the carrier ship hull with additional quadrinics or orichalcics module slots and a +50% ship manpower capacity. We have chlorophyll chemistry, which unlocks one of the most powerful buildings in the game, the super biofuel factory. Once you get at this point in the game, it is pretty likely that a certain percentage of your systems, if not the great majority, would have maxed out on population. It depends on what science you were researching, it depends on a lot of factors, but there are most certainly going to be systems that are maxed out on population. When a system is maxed out on population, its food goes to a symbolic 0. And it's symbolic in the sense that there is no more food to produce because there is no more population to put on that system. If you were to build the super biofuel factory on that particular system, the amount of food that all those planets produce will be converted into industry. So get that. That is quite an important piece of system improvement. Not so sure actually about what I just said about the symbolic 0, because let's see here in the system, for example, that I was just talking about. Yeah, so let's see what happens if I put, I put this population here. All populations are maxed out, and my food output goes to 0. Let's remove the urgent AI to see our production. Okay, let's remove this population and see what happens to our production. It goes down. I bet I built in this system the super biofuel. Let's see here. Let's see if I find it. I don't actually see it, or maybe it's just me. Yes, I did. So in this moment, the population is not capped out, and we have a 2.1k industry. When the population reaches its maximum capacity, food goes to 0 and industry rises to 2.5. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the super biofuel factory. And we also get an upgrade to the food planetary specialization, +3 food per population on fertile and +3 food per population in general. We get chaotic meteorology, cloud seeding swarms, system improvement, +20 food per gas, +20 food per lunar anomaly on system. Cultivation Institute, system improvement also, plus 20 food per hot per settler, and a plus 15% food on system. We have a deed, developer of talent, be the first to unlock the third population collection bonus level within your empire. What is a population collection bonus? You can see it in the population details in the Senate screen. Population collection bonuses are right here. So start out with nothing. As soon as we hit 10 population of that type, we get, for this population, a boost to the ecologist political party. For 20, we get a plus 10% food on systems with Neris on it. And when we get 50, we get the Neris law unlocked. So that was for a reference about the deed. And yeah, can't tell you what the reward is, already unlocked, unfortunately. Maybe some kind of cool resources or some hero, or I don't know. Also, when we hit stage 5, we get a further plus 1 movement points on civilian ships. We are able to construct the wonder obelisks of all time space. You have to build a certain amount of these wonders in your empire in order to win the game by wonder victory. You can also conquer systems that have this wonder on them in order to further your wonder victory goal. And just look at the effects. And plus 500 system manpower capacity, 200 manpower deployment limit in defense, plus 8 vision range on system, plus 5 FITZ per population on planets, plus 50% star system trade value. Resources and industry, it is the most expensive building in all of the game. And finally, we are able to get more law slots. And if you notice, for democracy, it's a plus 2. So that is why me having a democracy have all the law slots available. And let's see the last 4 technologies. We have nano aquaculture, which gives us the high serenity program as a system improvement, plus 10 approval on empires in alliance, and plus 5 stackable approval per empires at peace for 25 quadrinics. So if you were happening to be desperate on approval, I guess this would be your go-to building. And an enhancement, bio-enhancement facility as an upgrade of the influence planetary specialization, plus 3 influence per population. Citadel advanced upgrade. We can now build on our Citadel systems the coordinated bunkers, which grants us plus 400 system manpower capacity, plus 100 manpower deployment limit in defense, and a minus 50% siege damage. That is manpower loss on besieged system. And the advanced system battery allows the Citadel to fire 1 round of blast effect battery, inflicts 2000 damage on every enemy ship per phase in space battles. It can be targeted, plus 50% space battle damage on Citadel, and a plus 10% health regeneration ratio on fleets docked on system. That is quite cool. Advanced system battery, the ultimate Citadel system improvement. Citadel extensions. We are able to build on our Citadel's scientific military complex as a system improvement. That's a plus 20% science and industry. Quite cool, quite cool. Weaponized system. Oh my god, look at those effects. Plus 1000 system manpower system capacity, 25% defending troops health, 25% damage done to the attacker during ground battle, plus 20% industry, but a minus 15% food and gold. But I would say that once you unlock this stage 5 technology, you are pretty much set and wouldn't be that big of an impact. So I mean, I guess the system in which you build this particular building would be kind of unsiegeable. I mean, it would take an enormity of turns for your opponents to siege that system. And the last technology for the empire development tree and also of this guide is going to be the Dust 9 production, which grants us the intergalactic lectures, another system improvement that focuses on influence, plus 10% influence per empires in alliance, and a plus 5% influence per empires at peace. And finally, the Uplift Institute, which grants our heroes 100% hero recovery healing rate on heroes. So basically, heroes can be injured or via hacking attacks to our systems, in which our hero is an administrator, or during battles, as heroes can also be put on fleets as commanders. And if they happen to be injured, they would be unavailable for a certain amount of turns, and this technology would grant a plus 100% hero recovery from that injury. Guys, that was all. One last thing that I didn't actually cover are the last 4 technology of the game. These are the endless technologies and are the technologies that must be researched in order to achieve the scientific victory. You do not have to unlock all of the technologies of the science tree in order to achieve them. You have to unlock at least 3 technologies of the adjacent quadrants. So you will have 3 locks located here and 3 locks located here. And once you research 3 technologies here and 3 technologies here, you will be able to unlock the endless technology located above it. And let's see them. We have the Wealth of the Endless, which grants a plus 40% star system trade value on systems. So it's an empire improvement, plus 15% FIDSI on systems, minus 20% dust inflation on empire. We're talking about the best technologies of the game, of course. These are huge bonuses. The second endless technology, let's look at the Genius of the Endless. We are able to have a plus 10% science on all our systems and a minus 20% science on technology costs. So I guess that if you were going on a science victory, this technology would be the first of the 4 endless technology you would want to research, given the minus 20% science on technology costs. Third endless technology is the Power of the Endless. This grants us a plus 20 approval on systems and a plus 1 FIDSI per population on planets where ecstatic. So the ecstatic approval on systems is during the end game not that hard to achieve, given the laws that you can enact and the buildings that you build on the systems to improve the approval, and all the autonomous administrations that you spend to reduce the overpopulation of your empire. So it's not that hard to have. So this is basically saying it's a flat out plus 1 FIDSI per population on planets, and that's it. Super powerful technology, also this one. And the last technology is the Might of the Endless, plus 3 command points on the Empire, plus 20% troops health on Empire, 20% troops damage, and a plus 15% manpower capacity on Empire. Once you research all 4 of these last technologies, you win the game by science victory. And yeah, that was the entire science tech tree with this episode, plus the endless technologies. I hope you enjoyed these videos, and this video in particular. I really wish that when I started the game, somebody was... I really wish I had found some video like this in order to avoid reading through all the wiki and just having an hour and some minutes to relax and enjoy and kick back and learn about the game. Hope they're useful to you. It was a pleasure doing this guide. Really love this game. Really love talking about it. and hope you liked it. So leave a like, subscribe, and see you at the next video. Bye bye.